Welcome back!
That's right. Today we're going to be making Sokka's costume from Avatar the Last Airbender. Last year, or 2 years ago, I made Katara's costume and I still have some of this blue material left over. So this year we're going to be making the Sokka costume for my husband. I'm going to begin by draping my material right on him. I'm going to pin this material to his shirt so that I can draw out the pattern with a piece of chalk. I'm going to find his belly button so that I can draw the center line of where the bottom of the top of this costume is going to be. Don't forget to cut 2 of these to create both of the opening flaps for this costume. I'm going to apply this same method to create the back of this costume. I'm going to first, again, pin it to his shirt, and then I'm going to also use that front piece to measure how wide the shoulder seams are going to be, and also how long to make this back piece. Here I'm just making little marks so I can fold it in half and cut it out so it's symmetrical on both sides. I'm also going to take my top piece and measure it out, make sure that it's going to be the same length in the front and in the back. Then I'm going to take this cotton piece and I'm going to use some scissors to mark where I want it to be, and I'm going to pull it apart all the way to the end. I'm going to lay this out and pin it together so that I can do a test fit on my husband to make sure that I know where I want the shoulder seams to be and the side seams. To create the white collar on Sokka's costume, I'm going to do the same method that I did for everything else. I'm just going to drape it on top of him and draw the lines with chalk on where I want everything to be. I'm then going to finalize the pattern on the floor, and then I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to do 2 layers for each piece. Then we're going to take our 2 rectangle pieces and cut them down to the size and shape that we need. Okay, now that we have all of our material cut out, the way that I'm going to construct at least part of this is going to require me to serge around all the edges of some of my pieces, so I'm just going to do it to all of them just to avoid any future complications, and so we'll go from there and see how it's going to turn out. I'm going to iron all of the white pieces so that they'll lay flat while I'm working with them. Okay, so we serged around all of the edges to keep them from fraying is the main reason I did it, and then just the way I'm constructing this bottom piece, it'll make it a little bit easier to put this together. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to sew the shoulder seams, and then I'm also going to do the side seams so that the front of this opens, and then I'll have hooks on both sides, on the outside and then on the inside as well. This white strip of material is going to come around And we're going to attach it from here all the way to the end of this. And then this one will come around and be the front. That'll have that strip. It's a little bit of a chilly morning with some snow on the ground, so I'm going to get myself a cup of hot apple cider. And just let you know, I didn't initially plan on trying to get this done in 4 hours, but as I started working on it, I found that it was going and moving pretty quickly, so I decided to give it a try. Don't mind the mess today. My leg has been hurting pretty bad. I've been trying to get to a normal amount of activity, and it's been hard today. So it is a gloomy day outside, which is the perfect time to get some of these projects done, hopefully. The plan today is to finish the Sokka costume and potentially also another costume that you'll have to watch my next video for. But we got our hot apple cider and we're ready to go. So let's get started. Picking up where we left off yesterday, we're going to go ahead and attach this white strip to the bottom of the top of the costume. We're going to finish off the edge, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach it. We're going to pin it into place, and then we're going to attach it to the rest of the costume. Now that the top is mostly complete, we're going to go ahead and attach the 2 flaps on the bottom of Sokka's costume. So we're going to grab one of our pieces and just see where it's going to line up, and that's where we're going to finish off the sides as the sides of the bottom are open. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do that to both the front flap and the back flap. After getting the top and the bottom together, it was starting to look like Sokka's warrior costume. So we're just going to top stitch this down, and we're going to keep moving forward on getting the finishing touches on. This is where that other front piece crosses in or underneath the front, and so we're just going to go ahead and we're going to stitch that down as we're going along, top stitching the white parts down. I'm going to hem up the bottom of both of the flaps on the bottom piece of this costume before we move on to making the collar for this piece. I'm going to lay out these pieces so I know exactly how to sew them together, and then I'm going to do 2 of each and then stitch those together. I connected the sides of the collar with the back of the collar first, and then I went ahead and I pinned them together with right sides together so that I could create a long kind of worm tape type thing. I pressed out the corners and then I ironed it all down so it would lay nice and flat. I thought I was making good time at this point until I finished my ironing and then laid it out to attach it to the rest of the costume. At this point is where I discovered something went horribly wrong. I realized I had sewed it on the wrong side. I needed to do it on the inside of the collar instead of the outside. So I decided at this point I just had to rip it apart. That's what you get for trying to get it done quickly.
Future is full of struggle and anguish. Most of it self-inflicted.
And yes, a lot of the anguish I went through with this costume was my own fault for not paying attention, or close enough attention, or for trying to get it done too quickly. At this point, I was probably sitting at about 3 hours, I believe, 3.5, and I was trying to still get it done in a quick manner. However, I didn't let my frustration get to me, and I just decided to go ahead and get to work. So I went ahead and I actually stitched the other side of the collar where I was supposed to stitch it first, and then I decided to go back and unpick all of the other stitches. Once that was done, I re-ironed it and I was ready to pin it to the costume and attach it. I started by pinning it in the middle on the back, and then I just pinned it to the sides, going to the left first and then pinning it to the right. This ensured that I had enough for both ends. I quickly switched to my navy blue thread to go ahead and do a top stitch all the way along that collar. Once that's finished up, I go ahead and I finish off the edges of where it opens in the front. I promptly moved on to complete the sleeves because Brayden wanted sleeves for this. I then quickly also realized that I didn't have enough material, so I went ahead and I just folded over the armholes and sewed them into place. I probably should have created a bias tape to sew around the raw edge, but I was quickly running out of time, so I just folded it over and sewed it down. I moved on to sewing in the clasps, and I started putting them in here on the white part, and then I quickly realized that I was again sewing them in the wrong space, so I cut them out and moved them up into the blue section on the top part of the costume. Since I don't have the material for Sokka's undershirt or his pants, we're going to go ahead and just find some dark navy pants and shirt that we can use for this costume. I also have extra white strips that we're going to go ahead and wrap around his wrists. With all of the things that I had to redo and pick apart, I realized that this did take me a little over 4 hours. However, with just the stuff to complete the costume, I did make it within my time limit. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos. Alright, we just finished it, so let's take a look at the final shots.